Anthony, I got to be honest with you. I miss being in Las Vegas already. I don't know what to do with myself.
I miss it too, but you're in Florida, aren't you?
That's right. I'm in Florida, and you guys are going to find out why in just a second.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody! Glenn Hausman here with the one and only thirsty Anthony McCray. How are you, buddy?
Yeah. There's obviously a delay because I was halfway in the intro when I was taking a sip of water. Something happened. I usually don't do that.
Well, whatever mystery location you're coming through.
You're in Florida. Yeah. Where are you in Florida?
I am at HOTEC North America. I want to thank the good people over at QuestX for having me attend here for the last couple of days. For the next couple of days. Last night we started. We go through tomorrow. It's great because we get a chance to really get back out there and talk to all the buyers and suppliers out there and really get a sense of what is going on right now. So, Anthony, last week where we got to see brand new products, we got to tour the Virgin Hotel on last Monday's show. We got great interviews with all the executives over at Resorts World. You guys can catch that as a YouTube only special, but we're probably going to restream that guy this week at some point as well. And then also we spoke to the folks over at the Golden Nugget. And the interesting thing is I wanted to talk a little bit about today how we get supplies to hotels, how everything is purchased, how all of that stuff is done, and give people a better understanding of what it really takes to put together an incredible hotel.
If you think of the Resorts World, and I want you to talk about the Resorts World a little bit, because I know we spoke to the president of Resorts World. Mm-hmm. We pre-recorded it, and then you had a chance to go to the opening. So I want you to talk about that. But think about, there's 3 specific hotels under the umbrella of Resorts World. And How many rooms is it? Is it 6,000 rooms? How many?
It is 3,500 rooms.
Okay, 35. So 3,500 rooms plus food and beverage plus casino. Think about the uniforms, the sheets, the pillowcases, the glassware. Think about everything that's got to be ordered. And right now we're having serious supply chain issues across the world. And like I just said, my daughter, who runs a coffee shop, said that she can't get lids for her coffee cups. So imagine what they have to go through and the purchaser for that construction project has to go through. So I'm really looking forward to talking through those issues. But how was the opening of Resorts World? Talk us through it.
Oh, well, the party itself was great because, seriously, I got to go to a party of a brand new casino resort. I'm sorry, ladies. Yeah. I got our 3 guests here. They're all giving me this evil eye, like, how dare you do something like that? But, Anthony, I mean, it was freaking fantastic, right? To be the first people inside a beautiful $4+ billion resort and get to really see it. And the cool thing about these opening parties is it makes you feel so ultra VIP over there because you're walking around the empty casino floor. They're giving you champagne. All the dining outlets are open. You could go in and get some samples from all of them. Each place had different specialty cocktails that they were putting out there. So it was just 4 hours of fun. And then all of a sudden you go from having this empty casino. I mean, there were a couple of thousand people at this event, but relatively empty casino to the doors opening at 11 o'clock. And by 11:02, the entire place is packed. And for the rest of my stay there, Anthony, it was so jammed, so busy. Friday night, Saturday morning, about 2-3 a.m., when I should have been asleep, I was downstairs looking around and, dude, almost every single slot machine was filled at that hour.
When we were together in Vegas last week, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, everything was packed. And like I said, there was young people drunk on luggage carts. So I was like, hey, Vegas is back.
That's great. Ken Patel. Sorry, Gordon. Much better. Ken Patel says, hey, sucks to be you, Ken. You don't even know what's going on in here. It does suck. And I have to mollify myself by going to these parties to forget who I am for a little while. But I got to tell you, Anthony, it was such a special thing to be invited to that, to be a part of it. And then to do the Friday night audit show from the sports bar while everything was hopping was really super special, especially having everybody come by and they're doing their walk by and they're like, what's this?
It really says a lot about our guests and the popularity of our show that we were able to get the top of the top shelf of executives on our show last week and really have access that very few people get. So I was feeling very blessed and privileged and grateful.
Anthony, last thing before we bring in our guest, because we're going to have a great conversation today, everybody. But did you know, Paul McGuire was our guest on Wednesday's show, rather, when we were at the downtown of the Fremont Street experience. So I sent him a note to thank him for being on the show. Next thing you know, I'm flying Superman style on that zip line down.
Did you do it? You did it?
I did, yeah. It was freaking awesome.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I'm just, the thing opens, you go flying. I'm just like, woo, the entire time. It was just so exciting. And to be flying over all those people, it was like really super cool, dude.
That's
really
great.
super cool.
I don't know, for some reason, I'm thinking about you flying over and I'm thinking about my BB gun trying to shoot you. I don't know.
You're not the only one. It was a very difficult trip for me. Thank God I had on some shielding underneath me. All right, Anthony, what do you think? You think we should get into this topic today?
I think we should, and the topic is, tell everybody.
All right, I'm going to tell everybody. The topic is purchasing stuff. All right, we're going to be talking with some purchasing pros about purchasing problems and opportunities that are out there, really about what it takes to actually get things done. From when you're creating a brand new project to just trying to keep everything stocked and in place. What are some of the challenges that we're seeing out there? What are some of the things that they are worried about? And how are they mitigating some of the issues out there? Because we've got ourselves a great group of pros with us today. And we have Cynthia Milow, EVP with PMI, and then sitting right next to her, Miss Brenda Maddox, Principal CEO of the Maddox Company, and then joining us on the other side, Jannet McCray with HPG. Now I'm going to switch these so it's conforms to what side you're actually on with me, so it's less weird for me. So, ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anthony, you want to kick it off, buddy?
Yeah, just get as close to the microphone as possible, ladies, when you're talking.
Yeah.
I think one of your companies is working with me on the Breakers Hotel out in California. Is that correct?
Oh, really?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's you guys, right?
It'll be fun. It's us.
I knew you looked familiar.
So that's pretty awesome. I had no idea. So the fact is, I reached out to Cynthia a couple of weeks ago to do this, or days ago. I don't remember what it was. Being in Las Vegas for one day in Vegas feels like a week in real time like that. Yeah, it's kind of like that movie Interstellar, when you get closer to black holes, times changes.
So really my question is for everyone. What are the things right now, if you're opening up a hotel, could be a limited service hotel, let's just say like a Ramada Inn in Tampa, or it could be like a 5-star hotel like the Breakers in Long Beach. And I'm about to open those hotels, and I'm just about to call you, which I actually will once everything is a go, and say, hey, what should I worry about before we start? What are the top 2 things I should worry about?
Lead times. Yeah, what's happening right now is, you get these wonderful quotes in from all these companies that you bid to, and they say this is 14 weeks, and this is 18 weeks, and this is 12 weeks, and so on and so forth. But there is the element they can't control, which is right now transportation coming out of whatever country it is their parts come from. Because even if it's a U.S. Manufactured, completed product, they're still getting switches and sockets and so on from around the world. And so right now, our message to all of our clients is whenever you thought you should start, add on 2 months to it. And
could you do me a favor, Glenn? There's an echo. Could you make sure that that's closer to their
I can take care of that. Just when you're ready to talk, just talk straight into it, just like that. That's much better, Cynthia. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, it's a little awkward, guys. My apologies.
As close as you can get to it without kissing you.
Yeah, there we go. I'll move that a little closer to you so we can still see your beautiful people.
Yeah. So basically, it's transportation.
Yeah. Yes.
What I want
Jannet?
to add to this is that when we talk with our clients, and they start saying like, oh my gosh, why do you want to order 2 months earlier? What if the things show up? I always tell them it's better to pay from some warehousing and have your product ready to go instead of like waiting and like the boats are not arriving on time, or they're stuck on the port. And it creates a lot of tension. So it's to plan ahead and try to come across and get your product ready so you can open on time.
Well, that's really interesting that you say that, because Anthony, you know, the way it seems to be, at least when it comes to manufacturing and stuff like this, you want to have that whole notion of just-in-time delivery, right? Because they were trying for years to get rid of warehousing costs. But now what you're saying, and Brenda, I'll kick this over to you, that these days that's just too dangerous for what's going on right now, right?
It's a little dangerous, and I would add as well, hire your purchasing company first.
Earlier.
We're quite often thought of last. So if you bring us in a couple of months before, and then we can get started, we might be able to order things a little later than you thought and still
Right.
get it in on time.
Have you guys been working on any of the Vegas hotels that just opened?
We just worked on
Which one? Which one?
Circa.
Oh,
So how was it with Circa? How was it? What were the
and
major?
I happen to have stayed there 2 nights last week, so we can talk about that as you start mentioning stuff. Yeah.
Well, you know, we delivered, you know, before they opened before everything happened with the pandemic, so they got in just under the wire.
Right.
And they actually gave us quite an interesting challenge because the occupancy was starting to dip. They decided to open the podium, the casino, accelerate that schedule 2.5 months.
Right.
And then do the rooms after. So they did a flip flop on us.
Right. So they opened in October, the casino, but they didn't open until New Year's Eve for the hotel product, right?
Right, and that was fun. A little bit of pressure there.
So how much lead time should you give for furniture? And I'm actually asking for my own purpose.
Right. Well, this is good.
Truthfully, right now, 32 weeks.
Wow.
How many weeks?
32.
It's 32 weeks more, or 32 weeks total?
Total.
Yeah.
So from the
After
time
your deposit.
from the time you said go,
8
say,
months.
okay, we're going to get started, and this is the specification.
All right. What is it what was it in 2018 or 2019, the lead time?
You could do 16, 18.
Wow.
You know, there was extenuating stuff. But back to starting the purchasing agent early. What few people realize is that we can actually help the designers and help the owners in talking about raw materials and the products that they're using. I'll give you a classic example.
Please.
A lot of the designers now are specifying a lot of metal accent pieces in the headboards, which is great and it's lovely, but that's what's driving your costs up. Now,
Right.
This is one of the issues that we're having problems with. So there are workarounds to those natural metals that look pretty good. The normal guest isn't going to see. You know, we see wall panels in hotel rooms. Sometimes there's a lot of wood vinyls that you'd never know the difference. Wood vinyl insets on headboards. So if we can work with and strategize with the designer as they're writing those specs, you're going to get your job done faster, and you're not going to go back and forth with your budget, because you're going to hit it.
Exactly.
And how much? And what are you seeing costs go up? And that's for anyone. Like, what are you seeing on average? And what are the most costly things besides what we're hearing? Wood. What are the things that are really have been jacked up as far as price?
Brenda?
Oddly, carpet, and some of that's because of the fibers they're having the trouble getting, and also the glue. So we can get the carpet.
Weird.
But if it's a glued down product, they're having difficulty sourcing enough glue.
Wow. Any reason why that particular product is?
Well, they're saying part of it is because there were some of the factories were in Texas.
Right.
And they had 5 or 6 hurricanes last year, and
Right.
then an unprecedented freeze.
Right.
So they
So,
had
right.
so many issues.
All right, so there's a whole lot of factors going on. Obviously, you have COVID, and that kind of changed the way that factories were operating. It was changing the way people were ordering things, which changed the way that factories responded. Then on top of that, you had the Suez Canal incident, and everything got screwed up with that. I think there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ships, if I'm not mistaken, got delayed a couple of weeks there. Then on top of that, there's a lot of, I think the Long Beach port is a complete utter mess from what I understand. And then,
Well, what's going on with the Long Beach port?
why don't you all explain that, Cynthia?
Well, there's a backup. I mean, you can get on Google Maps and take a look at it, and we've actually fine-tuned which vessel our product is on, and watch how close it's scooching up to the port. It's pretty sad.
Right.
But that's been going on.
And why is that a problem? Why is Long Beach a problem?
Your product floating on the water in containers that are hot and humid isn't a good thing.
Right.
And then they pull up to port, and then you have your transportation time, your clearance time. Right now, actually, one of the biggest concerns coming out of China is they're not expelling the vessels fast enough. So we have one project as an example. We've got 14 containers that has been sitting on the water 5 weeks.
Yeah,
in China.
but why can't they get them unloaded in Long Beach? There's a crazy backup that's happening there. Is it a labor issue? Is it there's just not enough slots because all of a sudden all this stuff surged and came back?
Too many vessels.
Just too many vessels.
And if you think about it, it's all pretty logical because, all of last year, what did we all do? We shopped on.
Right.
Glenn, I'm
That's
sorry to
right.
interrupt. I'm having
Yeah.
a real problem hearing her.
Right.
And I don't know, because I don't hear, I hear everybody else really well, but I'm having a problem specifically hearing her.
Oh, I'll scoot over closer. If you think.
But at least you guys are going to really get along
I know.
now at this point. I love it. Yeah.
No mask, we'll hug. But if you think about it, the amount of shipments from, Amazon and all the big box, the Walmart and all these guys, where typically as buyers, we struggle with that around the holidays. Well, last year was like one big holiday.
Right.
Because everyone was ordering online. So then starts the backup. And then when it starts to get backed up, you have to remember those containers, once empty, they have to go back.
Right.
Otherwise, they have nothing to refill, right?
So those ships in Long Beach, the ones that are backed up, are those backed up because of the Suez Canal and all that stuff, and they're backed up there, or is it because there's just so much request for things that they just have too many ships in that port? Is that what's the case?
Yeah, and they can't clear them out fast enough. And then the other issue is trucking. You have east to coast truckers, right? A lot of team truckers are getting hired. Who had first call on those trucks?
Mm-hmm.
FEMA.
So you're basically saying. So you're saying that me and Glenn, one of us should work on the docks and one should be driving the truck.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good job. It's good benefits, good money. Listen to this. Carpet manufacturers have raised their prices twice in the month of June. LVT flooring has also gone up, not to mention, of course, labor. Mike, you're absolutely right. So, Jannet, let's get you back in here. You want to comment on that with rising prices and stuff like that you're seeing?
Well, a lot of prices are rising, like in July, like a lot of spa items are going up in price, and it's all because of the materials. Like everything that has a steel on it, it's going up at least 5%, right? Yeah.
Does your relation, because of your relationships and because you guys have been doing this so long and because you have, you're pretty connected, does that help me knowing you, because you're able to get to somebody and say, hey, listen, I know the pricing and I know that, but you got to really hook me up. You got to move in front of the line. You got to, do your relationships help?
Yes, for sure. That helps a lot. And we have like some vendors that we have been working for so long, like 14 years knowing them. So if I say, hey, listen, Anthony is going to open a hotel. We really need to open by this date. I will place this order. Like we have so much connection that even though they don't have their deposit, they will respect the pricing. As long as I say it's going to happen, here's the PO, we're going to release it next month or so. And that helps a lot of our clients to get ahead of themselves. And we also happen to have connections that we know they call us and say, hey, next month, FYI, we're going to rise these prices. And we always communicate this to our clients so we can do this more effective and help with their budgets, because that's a bottom line, right? Everybody wants to be on budget. So.
Well, and the flip side of that too, I have people calling when they have openings in their production line.
Right.
Because that helps you.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's true.
Right. Oh, that's
a lot. And
I didn't hear that, Glenn. I didn't hear that.
Openings in her production,
Yeah.
in the production line of a particular factory. So take that furniture we were talking about as an example. Perhaps they have a week open and you could get your order in there and cut off a big chunk of that 32 weeks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So one of the things that you really want from a purchasing agent is the creative solutions, because we can't always control everything that's going on, but we usually hear about it before most others do. And we can start strategizing. If Long Beach is bogged down, you go into Oakland. If Oakland's bogged down, you go into Seattle. If it's really bad and your project's in the center of the country, go into Houston. You're gonna pay more, but at least you're gonna get through and you're not gonna sit at the port for a month. So just, it's the right decisions of where's your money gonna go?
Right. Right. This is interesting. Mike is saying he is having issues. His product has been delayed due to manufacturers continue to make disinfectants and sanitizers as opposed to his product. And this is kind of like kind of like what the auto industry has gone through, right?
Sure.
They thought that auto sales were going to completely drop off the face of the cliff, so they stopped ordering all the computer components.
Right.
And the chip manufacturers said, all right, we're just going to sell these to the other areas that have been increasing, and now nobody can get those supplies again, right? So to me, that issue is a warning for me, for hoteliers out there, that they need to keep moving forward with their purchasing is going to be, because once they get themselves out of that cycle, they may have trouble getting back into that cycle. Brenda, are you seeing people be smart with that, maybe placing orders for stuff they may not need simply to get it on that boat? So in 4 months from now, they actually have the product and it matches the occupancy and distribution of their products?
We're not seeing that a lot, but it would be great to see that. And that's
Right.
what we're trying to drive to some of our clients. And I know we're just at the end of June, but things like Chinese New Year are
Right.
starting to come up in conversations in September now. And depending on the day, sometimes it's adding another 8 weeks because if things don't get out like by our Christmas, they're not shipping until March now.
Right. Jeez.
So you've got to.
And then some of the vendors are calling me now, like, hey, Jannet, we're about to send this container. Do you want anything like to load it right now? I'm like, oh, geez, thanks.
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm just like, go on and try to forecast it too. And also talking about the Chinese products, for example, I started getting creative with my Mexican connections. I'm like, hey, we got Mexico right next to us, and they're very competitive. They have a lot of manufacturing, so I start to VE some products with them, and that shipping is easy. You don't have to worry too much.
Right.
So it's something to be open about too. That we can use that. Textile is good, like the terry. Like sometimes I had a project in Hawaii, and I'm like, hey, let's take it from Mexico, and they're like, what? And it's perfect. Like, you need to be open to your options. And that's why, again, it's important to talk with ownership and be on board on time so we can help you out with speccing and telling you, like, if you are married to something that you really, really want, we can be clear with you and we can tell you.
It's before I ask my next question, if you can point the mic down towards your mouth, there you go.
Yes.
What's frustrating is we have the greatest country. We have, great workers, and we are literally talking about, we have a problem because of Chinese New Year. Like, that is insane to me, that we may not be able to open our hotels here in America because the Chinese New Year. It's if we don't fix that problem, forget about pandemics and forget about, supply chain issues and canals getting closed and, everybody ordering online. So, Long Beach can't get the ships, unloaded. It's incredible to me that these issues come down to we're having to get our stuff from China or other places. So that, I know it's a political conversation, but it really is a frustration.
But if you remember, and one of the things if we've been doing this for hours, I have.
Yeah.
So before China, it was Europe. Europe shut down for a month, and you have to work around those schedules. You have to build that into your forecast, your timeline on how the job's going to be bought out, how it's going to be installed, and so on. And you build that in and work around it. So you work around a month in Europe, and you work around basically 4 to 6 weeks in China. The sister to that is Vietnam. Their break is the same time. And, even Mexico, we had an office in Mexico for 13 years. We knew that the minute December 10th came along and January 5th,
it's gone.
Right. Everyone's gone home. No one's working. So, no matter what region of the world you're in, everyone has their own little thing. Maybe we need one of those. We need to schedule like a month or something.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
So, Anthony's bringing up a really good point, that things are being manufactured so far away. I mean, we're a capitalist system, so folks got hooked on the economics of being able to create things much cheaper over in places like China, and now they moved to Vietnam and other places at all. But I think what COVID did, and I think what some of the politics over the last 4 years or so has done, is make people realize maybe we do want things made in America in a more meaningful way, right? Maybe we do want to give those jobs to American citizens and all support each other. And I'm starting to see, I saw it before COVID, but now thinking we might be really heading in that direction. Cynthia, you're nodding emphatically. What do you see about maybe us solving some of these issues by bringing it back home?
Yeah, actually, that's kind of been the routine and with a lot of our projects for about the last 3 years.
Interesting, right? Yeah,
it's been going on for some time.
Right. But like everything else, we're seeing COVID accelerated trends that were already in the market, and you feel that that's happening, right?
Exactly. I mean, seating is an example.
Mhm.
Unless it's carved, there's no reason to get seating in China.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
There's plenty of U.S. companies. We don't have the time to wait for the fabric to come in and wait for the product to get on the vessel. And as an operator, if something is broken, stolen, whatever, clients do what they do, and you've worked through all your attic stock, you're
Right.
not going to wait 4.5 months
Yeah, right.
to replace a
Right.
chair in a room. It's just absurd. Or have to store that many, right? So that particular category, definitely, large, fortunately, we have a lot of great resources for large chandelier type fixtures in the country now, which has been great. That's getting stronger and stronger. Fabrics are getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Plug-in lighting, that's still out there, because it's that price point, you're buying 600 of a desk lamp, so you're still kind of tied to China, in that category.
Brenda, how do you see it?
Similarly, but it's a little bit about us educating our clients as well.
Right.
And letting them know, you're still paying freight, you're paying tariffs. So let's try and open up some of these factories in, North Carolina. I know it's not just a snap to open up a
Right.
factory, but if we can do that, it's going to end up being a wash in the
Mhm.
price. So, and then, like Cynthia was saying, then if you have any questions, you're just calling down the street.
Right.
I mean, we can get something in a couple of weeks, maybe.
We need to get our workers back to work.
Right. So we need to get, she said, yeah, we need to get our workers back. All right. But before we talk about the labor issue, which is a whole other thing that hotels are experiencing, and it's happening absolutely everywhere. Gordon brings up an interesting point. Bringing it back home will result in a price increase and then the second and third order effects. What about this price increasing thing? Because obviously everybody moved manufacturing overseas to save money. Why bring it back? Why did you just say?
If I can interrupt,
Yes,
there's got to be
yes,
an
Anthony.
incentive from the government for companies in this country to produce. They've got to subsidize a little bit of the manufacturing cost until we right this ship. Because if we don't right this ship, it's just going to get worse in the next 5 or 10 or 15.
Well, it sounds to me like it could really fall under a national security
It is
issue, right, Anthony?
absolutely. I didn't hear you. I was talking.
I said it really falls under a national security issue, I think, Anthony, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about right now, look at the cars, right? You can't find a brand new car today because of the chip. There's a factory that burned down where it was in China, and that chip that basically makes all the cars run. So you go to the Volvo dealership and they say, well, we're not going to have new cars until October because this one factory shut down. 98% of all pharmaceuticals are made out of this country. So it is absolutely it's absolutely a problem for our country. It really is. It's if we don't correct this, and if it's not subsidized by the government, and we don't incentivize manufacturing here in this country, and I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, Independent, this isn't a red or blue problem. This is an American problem. The freedom that we enjoy comes down to what we're able to produce and how we're able to take care of ourselves. And if we're dependent on everybody else, that's a problem. And again, I don't want to make a political statement, but it is absolutely insane.
Right.
those words will never. I know throughout my career, anytime this Chinese New Year's, I always get a call from a purchaser saying, "Hey, just so you know." But now it just seems so much more ridiculous that with everything that's going on, that we literally have to concern ourselves with other people's holidays, or we're not going to be able to open the hotels.
Exactly.
Insane.
Right. Yeah, it really is. Cynthia?
To the question about, I think the question had to do with long-term costs. If you pay more for a U.S. product and what happens for replacement. You have, again, back to having a knowledgeable buyer and a good relationship with your purchasing company and talking through those things. There's not a general rule you can apply to every product from an ashtray to, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said ashtray, tissue.
No, we'll just pretend it's like 1997 or something like that.
That's right. It's the 80s, right? You can't apply the logic to that, to towels, to the same thing as you would a sofa sleeper or a headboard or whatever. So your American-made product in your rooms and a mixture of American-made and China product in your rooms, that's your 5 to 7 year life, right? Your smaller items, your operating supplies and so on. There's a stronghold in China, and there's a good reason for that too.
Mm-hmm.
It really just comes down to being smart, planning ahead, and looking for those traps, and asking your purchasing agent for your purchasing agent should be telling you the advice that you need, to move forward.
Yeah, interesting. So Brenda, let me ask you this question then. Will it cost a whole lot really to make stuff here? And is it really just product dependent on it? If I'm a hotelier,
right,
I think it might put me in an advantageous position to say all of the stuff in this building has been made in America, right? But at the same time, I've been hit so hard with everything over the past year that I'm scared about what the costs are going to be. But with all of the rising prices and all the issues coming from overseas, what would you tell owners in order to get them on board with trying to shift stuff here? And then even more practically, even if you got to convince them, can they buy everything here?
Well, so it's kind of twofold. So it would be great to be able to, get Americans back to work, really good jobs. We're artists here. We can do everything anyone else can do. The problem is on the other side, will people, and by that I mean guests,
right,
are they going to pay extra to sleep in a hotel where everything's made in America?
Right.
And that's a matter of, it falls along the same lines as green, right? Green had a big thing 15 years ago. Everyone wanted to be green. And then it turned out no one was going to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So people pretend that they care about things like that. But in the end, it's all a, discount society. And we have to kind of turn all of us around to, hey, we're all going to pay a little bit more,
right?
But it's going to be a much better product. And in terms of just our hospitality world, we're going to be able to get things better and faster, and the savings will wash eventually.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. I like this whole idea of bringing stuff back. It gives Americans jobs. It makes us all feel good. But most importantly, on the political spectrum, it makes us less dependent on another country. And I think that we, as American society, have really, and this is definitely a political statement, have given China a lot of the power they have by ceding our control and giving them all of our money and resources in order to build up their country at our expense. And guess what? Turns out they're not our friends.
They're playing the slow. They're playing the slow burn game. They're playing it
right, because they don't have to work. They don't have to report to Wall Street every 3 months, right, Anthony?
Right,
so they could.
Right. We want immediate gratification this week, this month, whatever our stock price look like. Whereas China is taking a very long approach to it, and slowly but surely, they're kind of unfortunately really getting. I hate to say the word, but I'm not even going to say it. I'll just say they're really getting their foot in the door, so to speak.
Well, it's beyond that, Anthony. It's
well, that's why I didn't want to say the word. They're winning the race, and I didn't want to say.
Right, I'm gonna say it's insidious because they've been very quietly making huge moves to take over basically the global supply chain. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm curious as to how you all think about it, not necessarily from political, but fundamentally on how you do your work. They have something called, for those of you out there that don't know, I think it's called the Belt and Road Project. It's a multi-decade project where they're trying to interconnect the entire world. They're buying ports. They've been buying them up all over Europe and Africa, and they're trying to buy even more of them here. They're building the roads to connect it so they can, and trains and all of this kind of stuff. So they're building an infrastructure that can leave countries like ours out of it. That's got to be pretty scary for you guys, Brenda.
It's really scary. And I think to Anthony's point, we're letting them do it. And I don't think any of us are ignorant about it. I think collectively we don't want to talk about it because it becomes political and we don't want to go there.
Well, everything becomes political.
Exactly.
You say anything and half the country is going to like hit you over the head.
Exactly.
Right?
But we all know something has to be done, but individually we don't know what to do. But if we would be willing to say, we don't know what to do, but we want to do something, I think things would get better pretty quickly.
Right. I wonder what it's going to take to make that happen. I mean, you'd think after the last year and a half that we've been going through, what we've experienced, you think that it might wake some people up. But I think the problem with this is that Americans forget very, very quickly, right? Yeah. So Jannet, bring it now to what, practically speaking, hoteliers should be thinking about, right? What are some of the top issues that you're thinking about to help them mitigate, other than maybe extended timelines? I mean, should they be shifting the types of products they're buying? Should they just be rethinking everything in their hotels?
Yeah, and I think some hotels or some lines of hotels are rethinking more and curating the products for their own property. And I like to suggest to them to look different lines, not do the same thing over and over and over. That's how I'm helping them, besides extending the lead times. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what other thing I should do. But
could you maybe switch up some of your product mix in hotels? Are there? So I got this, Brenda. You're nodding yes. What is actually more available, and what is you might as well just forget about it? So some stuff that are easily available, some stuff you might as well just not even worry about getting.
Well, I think like Cynthia was saying earlier too about things like wall covering and wall panels that you can make look like a lot of different things. We can get those in spades all day long. The metalwork, you need several people. You need the raw materials as well as the people to put it together. Well, we can figure that out. We can figure out that look for you and get it cost effective and get it on time. I think some of those are the, I know that we were talking about the carpet fibers and the glue that's hard. But the LVT is more readily available, and so is tile, and you can make that in Mexico.
Right.
They've got that very close by. So things like that would be easy.
That's interesting. So Cynthia, let me ask you this. We got a question here. Did the new NAFTA agreement limit our ability to import things within the Americas? I thought it was pretty much kind of like the same old agreement just re-signed or something like that.
Yeah, we really haven't seen any huge shifts. With that at all. And
no, I remember the prior administration made a big deal about it, but I don't think there was anything in the deal that was different, really.
It was actually a big help.
In what sense?
The paperwork side of things.
Okay,
just
interesting.
From the bureaucracy,
right,
and getting things across.
Oh, goodness, that's very helpful.
That streamlined things. That was probably the biggest thing. And it just made it a lot easier to get things back and more friendly. Let's put it.
Right.
To get things back and forth. But again, back to planning and looking at those specifications. If you have an item that is not going to fit in your schedule, you have to take a look at it.
Right.
And that's when you talk to your client, you talk to the designer, and say, look, how valuable is that particular piece? We always like to work with designers and owners to prioritize what is important to them.
Right.
Because there's impact items in every room and in every outlet, every venue. There's impact items, and then there's utility items that aren't necessarily designer-ish type things. So concentrate on getting the bang for your buck on those impact items, and then make your savings in the more utility or functional items so that you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Right. Interesting. Jannet, did you want to add to that? I see you.
Oh, no.
All right. Okay. Don't worry. I won't force you. I will switch topics to this. Our travel associations are already involved in the political process. Maybe they don't know what's going on with the supply chain. Michael, I think that's really interesting point. what all of these groups are, like U.S. Travel Association, run by the great Roger Dow, the American Hotel and Lodging Association, they're really thinking of ways to improve. U.S. Travel gets people to come to America. That's really what the whole deal is. The American Hotel and Lodging Association probably could be doing more on this particular issue, but right now they're so focused on making sure the hotels have funds in order to keep going, especially with the labor crisis right now, that I don't think that they're quite thinking about that yet. Anthony, next time we speak to Chip, we should probably bring that up.
Absolutely. And I don't know if the audience is having the same trouble I'm having, but it's really difficult to hear the ladies, but I'm doing my best. So, but what's interesting, there's two problems that we're having, right? We have a labor shortage, and obviously we're a free country, so we have to free market. Right. Same thing with manufacturing. We're a free country, free market. So you go where the cheapest product is, and unfortunately it's outside our country. You know, for years they said, well, if you build in America, Americans will buy American and they're willing to pay a little bit more. Is that true, ladies?
No.
No, it's just like the green thing. Everybody says they're
That's
behind it, but when it comes to it, they don't do it. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, and that's really the shame.
If they can buy a couch for $500 or $750, and it's coming from China, and they got to wait another 6 weeks, they're buying it for $500, and that's the problem. The problem is it costs more money to build things here, and if we don't solve that problem, my children are going to have a serious problem, and our children are going to have a serious problem, because it's not 3 generations from now problem. It's now and our next generation problem, because you can see it, whether it be all the buildings they're buying in New York, in this country, whether it be the ports they're buying, whether it be the manufacturing companies they're buying here in this country, whatever it is, if that doesn't stop, it's kind of like if you play softball, like the mercy rule in the 4th inning, they got 20 runs, and it's like, all right, mercy, like we're getting close to, it's like, all right, you know what, we give up, and we'll have you manufacture everything, and we'll just sit here, and then what happens? Then they start taking over the government. So again, I don't want to get political.
No, but it's really hard to play that right dance there. But I love the word that you used earlier, Anthony, incentivize. Because we are a free market system, because we're a democracy, we can't really tell people to return manufacturing here, but we can incentivize them through creative programs in order to boost our economy by creating jobs, creating a lot of fanfare around America, and just doing the right thing. And I hope everyone out there that's listening to this wants to participate in that. Yes, Anthony.
Why can't we do something, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but why can't we as a government buy a huge amount of land? We build a manufacturing, we build for all kinds of manufacturing. We basically put in workers, okay, that we pay a really good wage, and based on incentives, those people get paid higher wages. And it's run by independent contractors, but we give you all the infrastructure. If you look at, talking about Long Beach Convention Center, basically what they do is they put in the infrastructure. So when you go to hire them as a convention hall, all of their draping and all their lighting and all their sound, everything that is extra in every convention center around the country is part of the price there at Long Beach. And they're getting the bigger conventions now because of it's all in one price. Instead of right now, companies are being killed with taxes, inflation, labor. If you make it simpler, again, we don't want a government like China. We don't want a government. We want our government. But if we have to understand that we're making it much more difficult. Like if you look at hotels in New York City, it's a perfect example. You look at hotels in New York City before the pandemic, in 2019, there's 3 hotels that come to mind that are very big hotels, had the best revenue years in the history of the hotel, only revenue numbers they can dream of, and they lost money. Because of inflation, because of labor, because of taxes, because of a cost in furniture, they lost money with the best revenue they ever thought in the world. This is not sustainable. And until our government gets their head out of their asses and really understands this is a serious problem, that is the difference between us being open for business going forward or not, this will never change. Vote for Anthony McCray for president.
Yeah, exactly.
this is personal.
That's really hysterical. Yeah, I love the I love though. Maybe it's a little Pollyanna. You thinking that the government's going to get their head out of their ass and get something done over here, but we can
No,
hope.
they can't. No.
Yeah,
no,
they're
they
too
can't-
they're
they
they're
can't.
too busy tweeting how much they hate each other right now to get anything else done. But
It's
the
really,
fact is,
what I'm seeing for the first time in our life, it's un-American. I am seeing
Right.
the most un-American. Like I had a conversation with a taxi cab driver the other day, and it was, we couldn't be more on opposite sides. And you know what we did at the end of the drive? He hugged me, and I hugged him. And
Nice.
his attitude is completely different, or his thought process politically is completely different than my political viewpoint. And we hugged at the end. It was like, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. You're crazy as hell, but I love you. and that's the problem. Anyway, let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about.
All right, believe it or not, Anthony, we're starting to run low on time over here. So I think I got one question, and then
let me ask you a question. Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Let me ask this one
Yes,
question.
sir. Yes,
Please,
sir. Yes,
please
sir.
let me ask this one question.
Yes, sir.
I'm brand new to the hotel business. Come to you, and I said, okay, here's my hotel. I'm going to get out of the way. You are in charge of filling up that hotel. Design that hotel for me, and this is the kind of hotel I want. I want a 3.5 star, 4-star, nice hotel, a little bit of food and beverage, a little bit of convention, a banquet. But basically, it's a rooms only, 400 room product, and I need you to fill it up and open it up in 6 months. Make it happen for me. What kind of things will you be doing to make that happen? What kind of products will you be buying? Where will you be buying it from? And will it be that big of a difference than my grand vision of this is going to be the best hotel? Like, that's the question. Like, if we put it in your hands and say, just make it happen, people are afraid that you're going to be so off our vision and so off our design scope that it will never feel the way it's supposed to feel.
That's
Does that, I don't even know if it's a question, but
misconception.
do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
does. She
no,
gets it. Yeah, she's jumping right in there. She's like, I got this.
We're not against the designers, contrary to popular belief. We actually like designers. We're fascinated by their artistry. We want to work in tandem. Our problem is we usually get, hey, give us a unicorn, but you have a pony budget, But that's where our expertise of sourcing comes. Give us 6 months and the money and get out of the way. We will work hand in hand with the designer, and you will be amazed at the product you get. And we'll source it from all over the world.
And so you can, if the ownership got out of the way and the people that basically in your way, and you work directly with the designer, and we gave you a budget and say, just make this
We lost you
happen.
there, Anthony. Could you repeat that? We lost you for a second.
If I said to you, here's the budget, I'm going to get out of the way, the entire team's going to get out of the way, you and the designer work on this, how much time could you cut from a job?
Oh, you mean when an owner doesn't keep changing their mind every 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, a few hundred hours in conference
Yeah.
calls at least.
Here's the thing though, as an owner, you really do need to be involved. Number one, you need to understand where your money's being, but all of us need a boss, right? It's like anything else. Unless you want a tug of war, someone needs to step up and be a boss. So it's either the owner or the owner's assigned representative, project management group, whatever they hire. But a project that's successful needs to have a captain, right? And it's someone to make the final decision on, okay, here's the alternates that you have, here's the situation that you have, let's make a decision, and we go. Responding promptly is really a great key across the board. It's a key for us, it's a key for the designers, it's a key for the owners. And sometimes we look at the end game and say, oh, we've got plenty of time. There's really never plenty of time.
Right.
You want to use your time well and just keep moving to get the line done.
Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense to me. So, all right. So at Circa, right? How many products, different things does it take to open up a place like that?
Circa was gorgeous, and I was at the Brenda opening. And
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
It was a kickback to the Rat Pack. It was.
What did she say? I can't hear her, Glenn. I can't hear what she's saying.
She was at the opening of Circa. I don't know why, because her sound's coming through fine on my end over here. It's weird.
I don't know.
Anyway,
But everything was black tie,
Yeah.
gowns, everything. I haven't seen that in Vegas in a long time.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
That's awesome. So is it like 10,000 products have to go in there? 20,000 products?
Oh, gosh. I think if I
9
would've looked at
products?
the line items, it was certainly over 10,000.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. How do you keep track of like so many thousands of items at once, Janet?
Well, expediting reports, and it's your baby. Hard, you put those line items, and then you follow through. You are like present on all these processes.
Right.
That it's funny, like you start keeping track, and once again, expediting reports are
Yeah.
very helpful, and
one
keeping
item at
in
a time.
contact. Yeah. But it's people ask me quite often, like, hey, do you remember what you bought like 10 years ago? And I'm like, oh yeah, I know. It was that, but it's because it's your baby. Your purchasing agent always like takes good care of every detail, and we are here for you. Like, we are keeping track of your items, keeping you on a schedule, or trying to keeping you in the schedule all the time. And I don't know, ladies, I'd like to keep it real with the client. Like, whenever they're asking for some nonsense, I'm
Right.
like, that's nonsense. Like, I'm so sorry,
Right.
guys. Like, but yeah, that's how we.
All right. So Curtis is saying that it sounds like we're hearing her in the background from someone else's mic. Yeah, Curtis, I agree with you. This room is super reverby, which might be causing the problems over here. I'm actually going to change locations for tomorrow, get us set up for a show that we're going to be doing with some great designers tomorrow. And we're going to be, I think, broadcasting from the show floor tomorrow, so you get a little bit of an idea of what goes on here at these HOTEC events, where buyers and suppliers sit at the same table and they talk about all these issues, as well as the products that are out there. So I guess it's time for us to wrap up. Believe it or not, this hour has been going so fast. So let's start with Jannet. Any final thing? And please, you have earned the ability to say anything you want to get people to hire you guys over at HPG.
Oh gosh, the pressure.
I know. The pressure's on.
Yes. Well, we're here for you, and they always think about your purchasing company or purchasing agents to come first. Whenever all the conversation starts, whenever you start with a designer, we can be hand to hand, like we mentioned before. We work with the designers. We recommend BE solutions, and then that way you can stay in your budget, because there's nothing worse than meeting with an owner and then getting the specs and then say, hey, you are under, and you're under by a lot of money. We can prevent all those kinds of situations. So that's why it's good to have a purchasing agent.
That's great. And we can find you guys at hpginternational.com.
Thank you.
And Brenda, what about you? How can we find you guys, and any kind of shameless plug you'd like? Don't be shy.
Well, we're the Maddox company here in Kissimmee, Florida, just up the street here from Miami. We work with
Just up the street 3 hours.
Gotta love the turnpike. We work with people all over. We started working with even some GCs directly to bring them the products that people might not expect purchasing agents to buy. And we can usually save them a ton of money over their subcontractors. And then they only have a one-stop shop. We'll be the project manager as well as the purchasing company, and they only have one person to yell at.
Yeah, I like that. Anthony likes the shortcuts of only having to yell at one person instead of everybody. Cynthia, how about some final thoughts and a good plug for yourself and your company?
Oh, sure. Well, we've been around for a long time. PMI is 27 years old, and we've been specializing in luxury and gaming most of that time. And
It's still not as old as some of my wardrobe, though.
I hear you there. One of the two things you really want from a purchasing agent is a truthful partner. Someone who's going to give you good advice, and frankly, transparency. Where is your money? Where is your money going? And you will need to understand your decisions and give options. There's challenges along the way, and you just need to understand what you can do, what you can't do, and make a decision. Have a partner to help you make a decision.
Beautiful. And you could find them at pmiconnect.com, pmiconnect.com. Ladies, thank you so much for a fun, interesting, informative show.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, if you just all hang out, Anthony and I'll wrap this up. So Anthony, that was really, really, really interesting stuff. Talking about all these problems that we haven't really discussed before. And I'm looking forward to learning more about what's going on here at this HOTEC North America event.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I'm a little apprehensive about ordering things for the hotel, but it's we'll make sure we give them as much notice as possible.
Well, listen, you got to get your orders in early. You got to be smart about it, and you got to make sure those owners don't make last minute changes that are going to throw all of your schedules off. Anthony, I got to tell you, last night here, everyone was together. Remember when I went to Hunter, I said it felt like a big family reunion and then kind of felt normal. Well, this event right off the bat felt like normal, felt like we hadn't missed a day, let alone 15 months from getting back on the road. And it was really just a wonderful thing to see that everybody was together and sharing and hugging and kissing like it always was.
Listen,
Can't be
remember, everybody said it'd be September, but like we're in July and we're here, so
Yep.
it's fantastic. All
Yep.
right, brother, take us out.
All right, guys, just the way I'm feeling right now, remember the long night is over and the sun's coming up. And don't forget, you got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
all right, everybody, see you tomorrow. Have a great day.